Hello, Detroit, Aisha. I like it. All right. Uh, looks okay. Looks like I'm having a little trouble disconnecting on Facebook this evening. So, uh, apologize, Facebook friends, but we are live on LinkedIn and YouTube. So, if any of you out there ever want to catch any of my replays or even a replay of this one, you can always go to my YouTube channel, and that's Own the Roof. That's OWNTHEROOF. That's the name of the channel. I have all of the replays. You just go under the live events, and you'll see all the events we have done over the past, gosh, probably 4 years now. So we continue to chug along. I tend to do these webinars for the zero down at least 2, sometimes 3 times a month. For those of you that need a little credit help or boost, I tend to do the credit repair webinars once a month. I have one of those coming up this Saturday. I believe it's either 9 or 10 a.m. And I'll show you where to register for that if you'd like. And then any of you out there that are HCV recipients, so housing choice vouchers or Section 8 vouchers, we have a big push right now for home ownership in that community. So we are working quite closely with some of the local housing commissions to transition people over to purchasing and using their vouchers to make their payments. So we tend to work with a lot of people and teaching them how to purchase with very little money out of pocket, even with less than average credit. So everything we do this evening, there is nothing about perfection. It's about teaching people how to access the right information to get across the finish line. So this evening, we're going to go over how to research programs, where to find them, sometimes how to stack them. And from there, we'll teach you how to check your eligibility criteria. So we'll go through the different things that they look for. Where does your credit score need to be? Income level, things like that. Some of the documentation you'll need to get to that next level. And once we get all of those dots set up, that's when we might connect you with a lender to get you pre-approved. And then, of course, connect you with an agent, hopefully myself. That's exactly what I am as a real estate agent. Before I got back into selling real estate 12 years ago, I spent over 20 years in the mortgage world. That's how I learned to tap into all of these different programs. Just shied away from it or exited the industry about 15 years ago and never looked back. The industry had changed quite a bit after 2012 final meltdown. And I just got so frustrated. I said, I'm going to go out there and actually start teaching people about these programs that exist. But a lot of people don't know how to tap into them or maybe structure the transactions to get in with just a few $1,000s out of pocket. So that's where I come in. And that's what our webinar is all about tonight, is kind of teeing off that whole topic. So I'm here to give you educational content. You can sit back and relax. I am not here to sell you a thing this evening, just here to give it all away so you can better understand it and give you the contact information to reach out to my team and I. Everything we do is for free on the educational content. So I'm going to put it in here right now, a link to my calendar so you can book a free call. Love to learn everyone's situation and put myself in your shoes so we can get people out of that, I guess, renting rut, for lack of better words. So one thing I always forget to do, and let me do this right now. So I do record this webinar as well, and I will have it available on my my text. So if you ever want a copy of it, just text us, say send a replay, and our automated bots will send you that. So if you do text me through the automated system that sent you the links for this, I apologize. That is 100% automated. It's pretty good. A lot of people think it's me, but it's not. It's usually it's a robot or a bot that we programmed. So, but anyways, with that being said, let's get right into it this evening. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to pop them in the chat box. So I will definitely circle back and answer all of your questions. So, but let's get this kicked off. And all right. So let's cut to the chase. So, what is tonight about? We're going to give you all of the tools that you will need to access down payment assistance programs and grants. Okay. My team and I, we built a application. It's called Zero Down Scout. We have 3,000 down payment assistance programs and grants available across the USA. So, the Detroit area right now, there's a couple of really good programs I'm going to touch on in 1 minute. One offers $75,000, another one $25,000. Other areas of the country, incredible amounts of money. Los Angeles, $161,000. Go down Miami, $200,000. New York has one program that I saw up to $360,000. So these are large sums of money that are available because it's very expensive to live in those areas, and they are trying to combat the first-time home buyer crisis that's actually out there. The average first-time home buyer right now exceeds 40 years old. That's just mind-boggling. So these programs exist to get people into home ownership with very little money out of pocket. So that's what I do. I teach people how to tap into these programs, how to structure deals so they can get in with just a couple $1,000s out of pocket. I'm going to go over some examples in just a minute and give you a feel for some of the people that we've been able to help over the past few months. So let's jump in right here. First one. Hey, here's Nate. Actually, Nate was from last fall. So Nate purchased this home. It was actually in White Lake Township, $260,000. We were able to get him into a $14,000 down payment assistance program, which also included a solar package. So I believe he's had the solar package installed. So I have to follow up with him and find out how that experience was, because he was the first person to actually do that program. Haven't done anybody since, because I always like to have one person go through the whole thing, understand how the experience is before I start recommending it to others. Next one, Kenneth. Kenneth is near and dear to my heart because when I met Kenneth, he actually called me from his barber's chair. A barber told him about me. So he's sitting in there getting a haircut and then telling his barber how the landlord where he was pushing him out because he wasn't on the lease. The person that was on the lease had moved out. So basically it was, hey, person moved out, you're not on the lease, you got to leave. So Kenneth was being pushed out. His barber connected him with me. We were able to get him into a house for $95,000. Actually, this is the house in the slide. We basically tapped into a $10,000 program through the state of Michigan. And all he needed out of pocket was $1,000 to do it. Now, great quality house. When I first met Kenneth, he was actually working with another agent, and that agent was trying to shoehorn him into a house that was actually on a street that I grew up on. It was Lamphere at Finkel and Lamphere, so in the Brightmoor area. So it was kind of, the house was in rough shape. So I went out, met him out the house, and I was like, Kenneth, I think we can do better. And we did. We got him into a nice 100% renovated house for a little bit more money, but the other one needed so much work. This was turnkey. This was in his best interest. And by the way, Kenneth was on a fixed income. So with his Social Security budget, we were able to get him in and qualified for this. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't purchase a home on a fixed income. In fact, you're going to see there's going to be 2 or 3 scenarios we're going to tell you today of people that are currently on fixed incomes. Here's Shannon. Actually, Shannon, thank you. Shannon referred me someone the other day. Shout out to the Kroger at 8 Mile in Wyoming. Shannon was referred to me from another person at the 8 Mile in Wyoming Kroger. So we were able to get her a house right on Wyoming, a few blocks from where she works, because she just doesn't really enjoy driving. So now she can actually walk to work. She only needed $2,000 at the time of closing. We got her into a zero down grant program. She purchased this brick ranch with for $117,000, and I think all in she was about $3,000 on this one. This next one is Emily. Emily is near and dear to my heart. I learned as much from Emily as she did from me. Emily was the first person to buy a home through the Detroit Housing Commission using her voucher. So those programs have been around for many years. It's just I've never had anybody that was successful doing it. And come to find out, I wasn't alone. Okay. A lot of people have heard of the program, but they couldn't get across the finish line. Well, Emily was the first one. So, and I thank her for that, because now I have just a great relationship with the Detroit Housing Commission, where we're currently have, I think, almost 10 people that we're currently working with that are purchasing homes, and they can use their Section 8 voucher to make the mortgage payment. So there are lenders out there that will help us work through this. So shout out to the Detroit Housing Commission too. They are making a great conscious effort to help people get out of the renting rut and get into home ownership and build some equity and build some generational wealth, not only for themselves, obviously for the future generations. So, but to give you a feel for how Emily's is, Emily was on a fixed income, Social Security. So we were able to purchase a home for her, $117,000, and we received over $33,000 in down payment assistance programs and grants. So she qualified for a $25,000 grant from the city of Detroit, or I should say a down payment assistance program. And so that being said, that as long as she owns a home 3 years, she gets to keep the whole 25. On top of that, we got a closing cost grant of $5,000, an additional $5,000 down payment assistance program from Flagstar Bank, and a $500 appraisal grant. So all in was $33,000. So her mortgage was, I think, 70 something thousand dollars. It was 700 and something dollars a month. So about the price of a 1-bedroom apartment. And she got a 3-bedroom brick ranch that was just in great shape. So next one, Tashiana, she tapped into the $25,000 City of Detroit grant. Here's Brian, got the $10,000 down payment assistance from the state of Michigan. He purchased this home in Inkster, only needed $1,200 out of pocket. And Deborah is another person that just near and dear to my heart. She actually purchased a home from her landlord. And her landlord, in this photo, if you look in the upper right-hand corner, there's myself, there's Deborah, and LaDon, her landlord. LaDon actually sold her this house in the University District for the price that he had promised her 5 years ago, $125,000. So happy for Deborah. So her payments came in at like $750 a month. That includes taxes, insurance, and everything. So when I give you payments, those payments are with everything in it. Okay. I don't know how you are, but I don't like surprises. So I find if I give everybody the worst case scenario up front, all good. So I see out of the corner of my eye, someone saying they don't receive Section 8. You don't have to. This is that the Section 8 people that purchase homes, that's just a small percentage of my business, but it's near and dear to my heart because it's helping people that need it the most. Okay. So Deborah purchased this home on Cherry Lawn. We actually tapped into the $75,000 Tobias Harris program. She also got a $41,000 gift of equity. So in order for us to structure this transaction, she only needed $1,500 out of pocket to buy this house. So this one was a pretty advanced maneuver, but I have to say her landlord, LaDon, was a champ every step of the way. So not too many landlords that are as honorable as to basically keep his word for a price of $125,000. And I know darn well that house, I think, appraised for $187,000. But so it's nice that people still roll that way in this world. So so what you all have in common is these people were all sitting where you were just sometimes 1, 2, 3 years ago. In fact, I always get people that have been on my webinars, sometimes last webinar, I think 3 years. So if you've been following me for an extended period of time, if you wouldn't mind letting us know in the chat box, just to give people some level of comfort that I am here for the long haul. So Dom saying, I don't receive any government assistance, just want to be a homeowner. Absolutely, Dom. There's plenty of programs out there. We're going to touch on two of the biggest ones that I'm a fan of right now in the Detroit metropolitan area. The first one, the Tobias Harris program. This program is giving up to $75,000 in down payment assistance. Now, this program, you don't get to keep all the money. They'll give you $75,000. They give you free use of the money. So if you're buying a $200,000 house, they'll give you $75,000. Your mortgage is only $125,000. Payments might be $1,100, $1,200 a month, but you're getting a $200,000 house. You never make a payment on that $75,000. But when you sell the house, that's when they want the $75,000 back. So you get free use of the money. They do ask for some shared appreciation. There's no mortgage insurance on this loan because you're putting so much money down. You just have to be a first-time home buyer, a Wayne County resident, and a minimum income of $45,000, up to 140% of the area median income. So very generous. Now, it used to be where it was only available in 9 zip codes. It's now available anywhere in the city of Detroit. And there has been chatter that this program might be opened up statewide. Okay. So that's been going on for a couple of months now. So haven't heard anything in about a month on it. So don't want to say it's gospel, but I put it on people's radars just so I have a feeling, just so they know, because if they do open this up statewide, the money's going to disappear very quickly. I kind of like the fact that it's only in Detroit right now because a lot of people don't know about it. But when you start talking about $75,000 statewide, it'll disappear quick. The other downside with this program is you do need to have 3% of your own money into the transaction. So what does that mean? If you're buying a $150,000 house, you've got to have at least $4,500 into the transaction. So they want you to have a little bit of a down payment and they'll give you the rest. Okay, that's the Tobias Harris program. The next program, City of Detroit. I actually like this one better because this is free money. $25,000. As long as you live in the home for 3 years, you get to keep all the money. So with this program, you have to be a resident of Detroit for the last 12 months and could not have owned a home in the last 3 years. Your minimum out of pocket on this program, $1,000. Okay. On the last one, the Tobias Harris, I forgot to mention, that requires a minimum 620 credit score. On the Tobias Harris program, they really don't have any minimum requirements, although I'm not seeing anything get done right now with scores under 580. Last year, we were getting them done with scores down to 540. For some reason, the algorithms that decide whether you're approved or not are getting tougher. Okay. So for what it's worth. So this one is available in all zip codes. You can actually purchase a home with only $1,000 out of pocket. So just to give you a feel for how it would work, let's say you're $25,000, you might use $20,000 for the down payment, $5,000 for your closing cost, $1,000 out of pocket, you're done. Just that easy. So very, very, probably the most flexible program I've ever run into for down payment assistance with regards to credit. So next one. I get a lot of people say, hey, are these programs are all you do in the city? And that's not it. So for example, here are about 4 homes that I have an investor that is putting in my lap. We are starting to sell these now, all outside the city. Okay. Warren, Redford, Farmington Hills, Westland, East Point, Roseville. That's pretty much it. So these are just my own listings. We have access to the multi-list where houses are available all over the Detroit metropolitan area. We actually do these programs statewide. Okay, so we have a network of agents that we hand people over to and coach them, so we can coach you both the whole way as with regards to structuring these transactions and making sure you're getting in with very little money out of pocket. So any interest in any of those communities, please reach out to me. Happy to give you that list. All right. So what is down payment assistance? So down payment assistance typically comes in, there's three different types. Okay. One is they basically give you the money, put a lien on the house for a couple of years, maybe 3, 5, 7 years. Once that time lapses, you get to keep all the money. Okay. That's always the best way to go. The next one, they may give you free use of the money. You never make any payments. They never charge you any interest. But when you sell the house, they want the money back. Okay, that's the second way. The third way is there are down payment assistance where they charge you interest, they charge you payments, and you pay off that loan over time. I don't do many of those just because there's so many of the other ones out there that are either free use of the money or free money over a period of time. So I just don't really, I think I did maybe 1 or 2 in the past 12 months where people had to have structured payments. And that was just because they were in an area that didn't have a lot of down payment assistance. But that was probably prior to us developing what the tool you're going to see in a few minutes. It's called Zero Down Scout. You can get it in the App Store, and that will give you access to over 3,000 down payment assistance programs across the country. Okay. So what types of grants? Now, grants are always the preferred way to go. Grants are free money. Okay. Sometimes grants, like down payment assistance programs, have restrictions where you have to own that house for 3 years, and then after the 3 years you get to keep the grant money. Okay, so ideally we want to hit grants first and then down payment assistance programs after that, specifically the ones that are the down payment assistance where you own it for a few years and get to keep all the money or get free use of the money. Okay, so kind of in that order. So but we always want to try to get the grants first. Now, what are the eligibility requirements for these programs? Well, I can tell you these programs, it's not about perfection. I get a lot of people that always tell me, oh, I need to wait for this. It's not the right timing. And I'm telling you, life gets in the way of my plans always. So, and I think most people are like me. So I always say, you know what? You don't have to have a perfect credit profile. You don't have to have a perfect job history. Okay. I always tell people, call me, schedule a call, whether it's 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, doesn't matter to me. I always like to learn people's story, put myself in your shoes, and then map out a plan for you. So here is a link to my calendar to schedule a call. So always happy to talk to people, get a feel for your situation, put myself in your shoes and tell you exactly what I would do. And when I say exactly what I would do, I'm talking about what programs, how I would structure them. And sometimes, like some of the people we talked about, like Emily, so how to stack these programs. If we can stack programs on top of each other, that's the biggest win that's out there. Okay. So when it comes to credit, typically, we need to see your scores above a 580 to get things done today. Now, I do my credit repair webinars. If you find yourself where your scores aren't quite there, here is a link to the credit repair webinars. And I apologize, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn friends, I will get you all of these links before we close it out this evening. Okay, running solo tonight, so it's hard putting it into a couple of different chat boxes there. But I promise you, I will get all of these links for you shortly. So, in fact, I will get the credit repair one. I'm actually going to send you to my, there we go. We'll put it in there right now. So Next one, benefits of DPAs over grants. We always want to try to hit DPAs first before we jump into grants. Okay, just like I said. Now, some of the common misconceptions are that you need to have a lot of money. Most of the people that I work with are getting in with just $1,000 or $2,000 out of pocket. Most of these programs, the one thing that they do have in common is that they have a minimum requirement. A lot of it, most of the times, it's 1%. So if you're buying a $150,000 house, you've got to have at least $1,500 into it. $200,000, $2,000 into it. That's the minimum skin in the game for a lot of these programs. Okay. The other misconception, you got to have perfect credit. That's not the case. Okay. So please keep that in mind. Next one. Okay. These are the steps. Okay. First thing we want to do, I always tell people the first thing is we want you to start looking and going on the different websites, seeing how your money spends. So here, I'm going to give you a link to my website where you can start looking for houses. Let's see here. There you go. So I feel that anytime I've got somebody that's educated with the marketplace, I love it because when you see value or values placed in front of you, you're not going to think twice. You're just going to move forward. Now, the big first step, in my opinion, is you want to see what programs are out there. Okay. So that's where my team and I built Zero Down Scout. Okay. ZeroDowScout. It's actually available on the Google Play Store and Apple Store. Just go out and type it in and download it. Now, Zero Down Scout actually will teach you or show you what programs are available in your area. Okay. Take a little quiz or put in whatever address, and it'll tell you what programs you can qualify for. So here, we'll just hit retake quiz. Wow. We made an update on here. So let's go, let's see, 48219. See what's popping up in that zip code. Boy, very accurate. Usually I had to put in an address. So if I just put in the zip code, because I'm used to putting in the address I grew up in on Lamphere in Detroit. And so now all we need to do is put in the zip code. Didn't realize we made that adjustment. So thank you, team. So you can see right now here, you've got the Detroit Down Payment Assistance Program. It's telling me I'm 100% match for that, $25,000. There is Home Boost. Okay, so this is actually a regional program available throughout the state of Michigan, through the Bank of Indiana, another $25,000 program. That money is running out very quickly. There's, of course, MISHDA, Wayne County DPA up to $10,000. I think that one is out. MISHDA has $10,000, $75,000. But you can see here are all the programs that are out there. So, and this is all available on Zero Down Scout. So let's go and let's see if we can put an address. So if I put an address, 16801. Whoops. One. Let's see if it populates. Lamp. There it is. Lamphere Street, Detroit, Michigan. All right. Okay. See programs. Still 13 programs. Okay. Suppose you wanted, let's go back and retake quiz. Let's say you wanted 48. Trying to think of some of the zip codes in the area. 48152. I think that's Livonia. Man, 13 programs. The Detroit program shouldn't be in there. But anyways, Zero Down Scout. First thing, see all the programs that are out there. Okay. From there, reach out to me. You can actually do it right through the application too, where we can actually tell you what programs are going to be the best fit for your situation. But we are very, very proud of this tool. This took us a long time to make, and it's good all over the country. Okay. If you want access to this tool, because I know sometimes this is a lot of information to grasp, the easiest way to get through to all of the tools that we have and offer is to go to our website, Own the Roof. Okay. Just if you remember anything tonight or you take a screenshot of anything, take a screenshot of my website, OWNTHEROOF.com. Okay. This is where we give away everything. So if you go to Own the Roof, you're gonna find the grants, watch free webinars. You'll see my resources. If you want any of these resources, they're all free. Okay. Our publications. Okay. I've written a couple of books on the topic. So no down payment, no problem. Okay. It says purchase now. You could, if you want to go out to Amazon and pay for it, you don't need to do that. I didn't write this book to make money. I wrote it to teach people and lift up. So just send me a text, send me an email, or actually you can go to owntheroof.com. I think, let's see if this is it, still works, and type in free book. And all you have to do is put in your information and it'll email you a copy of the book and register you for the next webinar. Okay. The only reason we have it this way is by having the Amazon page link here, it gives us better placing on Google. So we did it from an optimization standpoint. So also, I've got a book, No Credit, No Problem. So remember I told you I spent well over 20 years in the mortgage world. I know what things to do to manipulate credit to get a quick spike in your score. And I teach people how to do that on Saturdays. If you go under resources, you'll see credit webinar, and you can see, looks like you can see I'm doing a credit webinar this Saturday at 9 a.m. And what we do is I teach people how to get your scores up 60 points in 60 days. And not only what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Okay. There are a lot of things that common sense tells you to do that doesn't help you and it sometimes hurts you. For example, I can't tell you how many people have little collection accounts. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a collection account over 2 years old, do not pay it. When you pay an old collection account over 2 years old, you think if I pay it, my scores are going to go up. No, your scores will go down. And the reason it does that is, think of it this way. If you got a collection account 2 years old and you pay it off, next month it's going to show up as August collection paid. It reactivates it. Your score will dive 30, 40 points by paying off that collection. You're better off leaving that collection on your credit because it's 2 years. The ship has sailed. We would work on other things to get a quick lift in your credit scores. We want to put that money where it's going to get you the biggest lift. Now, if a lender tells you that they want that same collection account paid off for your final approval, that's fine. We'll pay it off before closing, because once a lender pulls your credit and the score is where we need it to be, it's locked in for 90 days. So if you pay it off and it goes down, it doesn't matter. Okay. These are little tips and tricks that we go over on our Saturday credit boosting webinars, as well as how to manipulate credit utilization, how to do it based on settlement dates on your credit card statements, things like that. So, and I get it. There's not a lot of money in my household right now. It's hard to make ends meet. So that being the case, some of these tips and tricks are great ways to manipulate your credit to get a quick spike in your score. Okay. So imagine if you're in the mid 500s and we can get you up to a 600 and you can buy a house. Okay. It can be done as quick as 60 days. So what are some of the other things we cover? Resources. Uh, you can go right to Zero Down Scout, where you can download the application from the App Store, Apple Store, Google Play. Okay. We have link to register for our next, anybody out there that is a voucher holder. All right. I don't know when our next webinar, I think is next month. August 15th is our next webinar for that. And let's see what else. We've got our Zero Down webinar. If you ever want to register in the future, that's what we're doing tonight. And then for any of you out there that want more information, we actually have free digital courses. Now, basically, we have my book where I basically tell you on video. These are all free. Okay. No down payment guide, how to purchase with no money down, credit repair. I think the no down payment guide is probably about a 6-hour course. Credit's probably 3-hour course. And for those of you that, because I always get a lot of real estate agents that want to know how I structure these deals to get in with very little money out of pocket. That's in the last one, structure deals with little money. How to get lender credits, how to get your lender to pay your closing costs, how the seller to pay your closing costs. That's kind of something that most agents should know. But getting lender paid closing costs, lender paid grants and assistance with a lot of other things. So how to tap into Community Reinvestment Act money that lenders typically are sitting on a seasonal basis. So a lot of things you just need to ask for. That's what goes on in that course. So that's everything through my website, Own the Roof. So if you want one place to go, that's where I would recommend. Bookmark that page, and I have a sneaking suspicion there's a lot of tools out there that you can use to get in with very little money out of pocket. So let's chug along here. So Zero Down Scout, we talked about that. Here's the QR code. If you want to download it to your phone, try it out. Okay. Doesn't cost anything. Okay. It's a free application. So, and once you do it, you'll get into our database. You'll be reminded for all the upcoming webinars as well too. So Zero Down Scout is the name of the app. So like I said, once we've identified all the programs that are in the areas that you're looking, from there, we want to find out what is the eligibility for these programs? What does it take? What are the credit score requirements? What are the income requirements? Okay. Those are things that I can help you with. That's where I tell people, schedule a call with me. I can go into the details, learn your situation. And we want to do that before we talk to the lenders. Okay. So most lenders only do maybe 2 or 3 different down payment assistance programs. So the chance of you going to a lender and finding the one that's going to give you the most amount of money is pretty remote. There are hundreds of lenders in any marketplace. Okay. So that's what I do. I know who is going to give the most amount of money for everyone's particular situation. So I learn your situation and go, okay, maybe you want to go to First Merchants Bank or Flagstar, or maybe a broker like Guild Mortgage. Okay. They're awesome with some of the down payment assistance programs, probably the most proficient across the country. Locally right now, I'm finding First Merchants is really stepping up to the table. In addition to doing down payment assistance programs, they have Community Reinvestment Act money that they are giving people for closing costs. I just had someone a few moments ago that qualified for a zero down conventional loan, little over a 600 credit score, no mortgage insurance. Okay. That is almost too good to be true. And the interest rate's a competitive interest rate. It's in the low 6s. And in addition to that, they're getting $7,500 in closing costs grant from First Merchants. Basically, it's Community Reinvestment Act money. Okay. That's limited funds. So if you're looking to do something in the near future, right now, that would be my go-to in the Detroit area. But keep in mind, these banks are regional or local. So these programs are all across the country. I just need to know your situation, what area you're looking in, and I'll point you in the direction of the banks that are offering those. So once we figure out what programs are the best fit for you, then we want to connect you with that lender. Okay. From there, they're going to need some documentation. Typically not nearly as much as you think, but in most cases, if you have a typical W-2 or salaried job, they just need your W-2s, maybe a month's worth of pay stubs, and a couple months bank statements. That's it. If you're self-employed, they might want your tax returns, or some down payment assistance programs want your tax returns just to prove that you haven't owned a home in the past couple of years. Keep in mind, most of these programs are for first-time home buyers. Okay. Now, if you're inside the Zero Down Scout app, you can actually be very specific. You can say, hey, I am a first-time home buyer, or I'm not a first-time home buyer. There are programs available for people that aren't first-time home buyers. They're just not as plentiful. If you want to buy a multi-unit property, there's programs for that. Okay. So download that Zero Down Scout and fill out that quiz, and you'd be surprised what they're more limited. If it's going to be your primary residence, you're a first-time home buyer, bam, you're going to see a ton. If you're looking for one that's, I had somebody earlier in the week that wanted to buy a multi-unit. So imagine this, because I do this across the country in some of the high-end markets. So let's say, for example, had somebody in LA wanted to buy a $1 million property. It was a triplex. They were able to get $200,000 to purchase this 3-unit. And guess what? The payments for the 2 units, the profit are enough to make the mortgage payment. So they're basically going to live there for free. Okay. These are advanced maneuvers. They're kind of threading a needle, but this stuff exists. Okay. So if you are a wannabe investor and you've never owned a home before, boy, if I had a rewind and could go back in time, oh my gosh, I wish I would have done this. This is a great way to kick it off. So if any of you out there are looking to be wannabe investors, never purchased a home, or this is what I find happens a lot, is I find that parents, grandparents see my webinars, and then they're all of a sudden they're like, tell their kids, hey, you need to follow up on this stuff. Okay. What a great way to kick things off, especially with home ownership being so challenging. But like I said, most of the people I work with can get in with just a few $1,000s out of pocket. That's in the Detroit marketplace. You start going out to, California, instead of a few thousand, it might be 10, 20,000. But it's relative to the prices. Unfortunately, out there, $1 million doesn't buy a whole hell of a lot. So the next thing, connecting with a lender. So once we learn your situation, we're zeroing in on what programs are out there. Then we want to connect you with that lender for the pre-approval. Okay. And then after that, we're going to connect you with an agent. Okay. One thing you don't want to do is you do not want an agent to use you to learn. Okay. Not that it's rocket science, but these transactions are a little bit more tricky to put together. Okay. Especially if we're going to have them, if we want to get in with very little money out of pocket, there are ways to structure these transactions and get them across the finish line. Okay. I've been doing it a long time. Again, not that it's rocket science, but there is an order to it. Okay. And you need an advocate that's going to that's been down this road before. Okay. Because right now in the Michigan market, it's still pretty hot. Okay. Getting offers accepted isn't as easy as it is in the rest of the country. Now, the rest of the country is shifting right now. Okay. Turning into a buyer's market. You look at Florida, definitely a buyer's market. East Coast, West Coast, similar. But it's not quite here yet, but it is getting close. All right. So imagine opening the door to your home for your family. It's a process, but it's possible. Okay. I don't want to say that this is the easiest process in the world, but that's the one thing I do pride myself in is once I learn your situation, I'm going to point out all the potholes in the road you're about to navigate and we'll navigate around them. And if not, I'm going to tell you to brace for it. But one thing you will find when it comes to a lot of the things, I'm pretty transparent. I would rather give you the worst case scenario up front, just for the fact that if you're good with the worst case scenario, then it'll be a lot easier down the road. So let's see what kind of questions we have here tonight. First of all, I could and should give you my contact. Here's my phone number, 248-252-7283. This is my cell phone number, okay? I gladly give it out, okay? I try to answer the calls as they come in. I am a self-professed phone jockey. I am on the phone all day. So if I'm not available, text me or leave a voicemail. Text is great because I have a lot of scheduled calls and, everybody's busy. So a lot of people can't hold their calls. So that's when I try to reach back out to people. So, but always great to book a call with me. That is the easiest way to get things kicked off. Let me put that in here. And let me start getting some of these out to our YouTube, LinkedIn friends. There is a link to book a call. And let me give you my phone number, 248-252-7283. All right, let's start zipping through some of these questions. To start typing your questions in the chat box, if you could, please. So Gwen, live in Warren, but want to move to Belleville. Oh my gosh, that's one end of the world to the other, Gwen. So there's actually quite a few programs out in the Belleville area right now. Specifically, I just had somebody that did the rural development program, zero down, great way to buy a house. I like it because the mortgage insurance or equivalent of a mortgage insurance factor is very low and the interest rates for rural development products are quite low. I think you just need to stay maybe just south of Textile if going towards the Ipsy side of it. And then in Belleville, the further south you go, the more that rural development program holds. But there's plenty of other programs out there. Nirma Taylor, looking for the replay. Great. So you will receive a copy of that. Got it. All right. Someone's saying, as you know, gosh, I don't see who it is. I just see a phone number on SSI and SSD, taking care of 3 kids at home. Boy, please reach out to me if there's anything I can do to help your situation, especially with kids in a mold. I certainly feel for that. So, yeah. So not quite sure who wrote that. I just don't, I can only see a phone number. But please, if you are in that rough of a situation, please reach out to me. Always happy to give you my 2 cents and see what we can do to point you in the right direction. Hey, Brenda Starr. Hey, thanks for showing up. It's been a while. How long have you been watching me now, Brenda? Got it. Do more. Looking for a copy of those homes. Okay. You know what? I am going to get that out to you. And I'll get that out as soon as we finish. Brenda, great. I will get you the book. Both books. Okay. Yep. Happy to send them, Brenda. Oh, Lametta, how are you? I hope, well, I wish things were better for you. Please schedule a call. Love to get an update with regards to your personal information and see if there's some way we can help you out of the situation you're in right now. Okay. Got it. Good. Look forward to it. All right. Any other questions out there? I know it's a beautiful summer day out there, so I see our audience is a little light today. Yes. So Dearborn Heights, there are a few programs that will work. I'd have to check the Wayne County program, see if that's received some funding. There's certainly the state of Michigan program, the 10,000. That's good anywhere. I would also like to check the Bank of Indiana, the 25,000. I know that they're flying through that money right now. So I would encourage you to schedule a call as soon as possible. So if it does fit, we can connect you with a lender and lock that money in as soon as possible. Oh, great, Carla. So I actually have quite a few homes coming up, East Point, Roseville, Warren, that list that I showed you. And I feel like some of those could possibly work with that fixed income. Yes, Miss Jacobs. My phone number, 248-252-728. That's a little typo there. 7283 is my cell number. Hi, Sue. Happy to help out. So please schedule a call. Happy to learn your situation, put myself in your shoes, and tell you exactly what I would do to get you across the finish line. So, great. Well, you can always go get everybody, if you want the ebooks, you can go right to my website and just after the domain, just, you know what? I'll put that in right now. Let's do it. FR. Here you go. Here is the link for the free book. All you got to do is go in, put that in our Facebook, YouTube as well. Yeah, just put that, just fill in your information and it will email you a copy of the book. There you go. Actually, boy, that's first time I saw that link. Get your own free copy. Perfect. So if you like the credit one, just shoot me a text and I'll make sure we get the credit one out to you as well. So now let me make sure we get the another. Here is the link to the credit repair webinar. See what it says for that. Credit improvement webinar, own the roof, boost your credit. Great. So Sid the Kid, I like your title there. Says, John, you mentioned the credit repair in preparation for buying a home. You shouldn't try to pay off a 2-year-old accounts, and that makes sense. But have you had successful cases with potential homeowners that are paying active student loans? Wow, Sid, great question. I will tell you, student loans are one of the biggest things that are tripping people up right now. And I do cover that in my Saturday webinar, but I will give you an answer on that this evening. Okay. There are ways to structure student loans. Let me stop this thing from playing here. Going to the back, out of the corner of my eye. It's, let me go back. Okay. So there are ways to structure student loans favorably so they don't trip you up when getting a mortgage. Okay. Now, student loans, unfortunately, are out of control in this country. Okay. And I feel like there are a lot of people that were convinced to take out more than what they needed, but that's another conversation altogether. I'm just going to tell you how to deal with them. Okay. Now, most lenders are going to take typically a 0.5% of whatever your student loan amount is and include that in what they call your debt to income ratios. And debt to income ratios are basically, they don't want to see more than 40 or 45% of your income going to your new house payment and whatever your bills are. But if you got $100,000 in student loans, that's a $500 a month payment that they're going to whack you with. So it really cuts back the amount that you can qualify for with a mortgage. So the workaround is, a lot of times we coach people to go into income-based repayment plans. Now, when you call up the people or the loan servicer for your loans, your student loan servicer, they typically will tell you, if you're using an income-based repayment plan, a lot of times they'll go, oh, if your income's low enough, you don't even have to make a payment. And it'll say zero. Okay. Well, zero doesn't work in the mortgage world. They want numbers. So what we do is we teach people or coach them to call their student loan servicer and say, you know what? I want to do the income-based repayment plan. And when they come back with, oh, well, your income might be low enough where you don't have to make any payments, what you tell them is, you know what, thank you very much, but I'm tired of watching the interest increase on my student loans. I at least want to make a $10 to $20 a month payment. Then they will set it up for you. Okay, their default answer is no, because they're just making interest. You never get rid of these student loans. It just keeps growing and growing. So, but if you can get an income-based repayment plan of $10 or $20 a month, guess what? Instead of using $500 for that $100,000 student loan, for that $500 payment, we now use $10 to $20. It's a lot easier to qualify for. Okay. So there's different ways, depending upon what your situation is, of how we would structure it. So definitely hit up my credit repair webinar, or credit boosting webinar is what I should call it, because what its title is, how we get your scores up 60 points in 60 days. Now, if your student loans are now in default, that's a different conversation. If you can actually take your student loans, get them out of default, and ask for a fresh start program, where what they will do is, as long as you make your payments on time for 3 months, boom, they'll take it out of default and show it as paid as agreed. So I've had people go from credit scores of 550, shoot all the way up to 650, because now something that was in default is showing as paid as agreed. Unfortunately, it takes 90 days for that to play out. Okay. Those are probably the two most common situations that I'm running into right now. So hope that helps you, Sid. So, but I go into a little bit more detail with some of the other options that are out there too in my credit repair webinar. You are so welcome, my friend. Any other questions out there? It's approaching 8 o'clock, and I just always like to wrap these up. 8 o'clock. I mean, I'll be honest, as long as you have questions, I'm here. All right. Well, I'm going to give you a couple of quick things right now. Number one, I always invite people, please make a call, schedule a call. Always happy to learn your situation, put myself in your shoes. So I'm going to get that in for our LinkedIn and YouTube friends. Second, here is a link to my credit repair webinar. And we get that in for our LinkedIn and YouTube friends. And I believe that is it. So, couple things. If I could trouble you, I know I said I wasn't going to ask you for anything or sell you anything. I'm not selling anything here, but what I do want to do is I want to ask for your help. Okay. We spent a lot of time building out our Facebook, our website. And as a result, we give everything away. I always ask if there is any way, if you've got some value out of this evening, if you could click this link and leave me a review on YouTube. Basically, it's on Google. Okay. I'm finding that the best way for our website to get more traction is Google reviews. So if there is any way you could go out to click this link and leave us a good review, I would really, really appreciate it. That would be my only ask for help. So I really get a lot of pleasure on giving a lot of this information out and helping the masses as much as I possibly can. So if there are any friends or family that you know of, please connect them with one of my webinars. Okay. If you have any friends or family that are currently recipients or with the Detroit Housing Commission, my gosh, we're having just a great time helping each other with educational content. So a lot of resources that we offer. We need to do a little bit better job on our website about putting our events here. But so I got to talk to my team about that. But for the most part, I think we're really trying to step up and teach the masses as much as we possibly can. So, so if you like, I think we'll probably be doing another webinar next Wednesday, which will be the 29th. The 29th webinar, we are going to probably start more instead of Southeastern Michigan, that we're going to do for the whole state. Okay. Again, these programs are everywhere. Okay. And like I said, I get calls from all over the country. I love learning different marketplaces and helping people get into these. But I find that most of the programs, the biggest money is usually in the underserved communities. So with that being said, that's where I shine. So in addition to teaching you about the programs, I want to teach you how to structure these deals so you can get in with very little money out of pocket. Like I said, most of the people I work with right now, probably less than $2,000 or $3,000 out of pocket, and they're buying a house. Certainly a lot less than what people are paying in rent. Right now, the average person, I think in the Detroit area, is paying $1,350 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment. Well, that's right now buying a $150,000 house with just a couple $1,000s out of pocket using these down payment assistance programs and grants. So, so it just makes a lot of sense. I could go on and on, but if you could please leave me that review, I would really appreciate it. Brenda, yes. So you can call me anytime, Brenda. So I did give everybody I'll give my telephone number again, 248-252-7283. Best way to get a hold of me. And then let me leave that for my friends out on YouTube and LinkedIn, 248-252-7283. Great. All right. Well, any more questions before we wrap it up this evening? All right. Well, let me go through here. Gwen, Oren, Samsung, Jerry Mitchell, Brenda, Jamalia, Sid the Kid, Nirma, everyone, thank you so much for attending this evening. If you ever have any questions, regardless, I spent a lot of time inside the mortgage world, title world, and in real estate. So there's very few questions that haven't crossed my desk in the 38 years I've been doing this now. So didn't really spend a lot of time talking about myself this evening. But I hope you can tell I really enjoy what I do. Most of what I do is a byproduct from my own financial meltdown about 12 years ago. So about 12 years ago, I take that back, it was 15 years ago. I was a principal in a mortgage company, a title company, and the bookkeeper walked off with a fair amount of money, and everything came spiraling down. And once we had that financial reset ourselves, I really did a gut check. Do I really want to just climb the ladder to do that again? Was it rewarding? Yes, possibly financially, but it wasn't really fulfilling. So that's when I decided, you know what, I'm going to start doing teaching people about these programs. So that's the passion I had. So I'm so glad that I went down that route because I've been blessed with the more education I give people, the more it rains for me to help more people, if that makes any sense. So, so I feel honored when people show up and I'm able to teach you like this. So and blessed at the same time. So I thank you all so much for coming this evening. If there's anything I can do that's real estate related, please never hesitate to reach out. I always tell people if you are out there renting right now, the rental market is in rough shape. Um, if you find cheap rentals, there's usually a reason for it. And there are a lot of scams out there too. Okay. Especially in the rent to own world. My gosh. I find that the more challenging things get, okay, the more the predators go out there to prey on people. There's no shortage of scams going on out there, and there's no shortage of people trying to separate you from your hard-earned money. So, so if you run across a house, I always tell people for rent somewhere, and it's a private owner, it just takes us 10 seconds to look it up and tell you who the actual owner is to make sure you're dealing with the legitimate person. Okay. So it's just something that we do because without fail, once a week, I hear somebody that's taken advantage of. So, so keep that in mind. So keep it in your pocket. If you need that type of help, we're here. So thank you all for watching once again, and hope our paths cross again soon. Have a good evening, everybody. Good night.
Recording.